dear students. Welcome to Power System Protection Lecture Series. Today we are going to discuss basics of protective relaying. I am Professor Manan Desai, Assistant Professor, Dr. Subhash Technical Campus, Junagadh. An electrical power system consists of generators, transformers, transmission and distribution lines. Short circuits and other abnormal conditions often occur on a power system. The heavy current associated with the line and it's likely to cause and damage to our equipments. If we can put a suitable protective relays and circuit breaker, then we can save our power system. Short circuits are usually called faults by power engineers. Strictly speaking, the term fault means defect, and some defect other than short circuits are also termed as a faults. For example, the failure of conducting path due to a break in conductor is a type of fault. Now, in this PPT, you can refer different types of faults, its causes and effects, various protective zones. You can also learn about what is primary and backup protection and where it will be implemented. Then types of backup protection and what are the desirable qualities of protective relaying. What type of relay we should put in a power system that is desirable qualities. Now, causes of electrical faults. The faults caused either by insulation failure or by conducting the path failures, we can separate it by various abnormalities like weather conditions. It includes the lightning strikes, heavy rains, heavy winds, salt deposition and ice accumulation on transmission lines. Now, the environmental conditions interrupt the power supply and also damage our electrical installations. Second one is electrical faults due to equipment failure. This you can see is an insulation failure. This is a cable also you can see. So various electrical equipments like generator, transformer, reactor, switching devices where insulation is implemented which is failure and it flows a high current through a device or equipment which further damage the equipments. Human errors. Some electrical faults are due to human errors, such as we can select improper rating of equipment or devices, forgetting metallic or electrical conducting paths after servicing or maintenance, switching the circuit while it is under serving. So these are the reasons where human errors are involved to causes the electrical faults. Smoke of fires. This type of fire will damage our transmission lines, insulators and other devices. Ionization of air due to smoke particles surrounding the overhead lines results in a spark between the lines, or we can say it is between a conductor or insulator. This flashover causes insulator to lose their insulating capacity due to high voltages. Okay, now after the faults we can understand the effects in power system due to electrical faults. So ultimately, after the fault, heavy current flow, and what it would be done when fault occurs, it creates a very low impedance path for the current flow. This results in a very high current being drawn from the supply, causing tripping of relays, damaging the insulations and components of the equipments. Arcs associated with the short circuit may cause fire hazards. Such fires results in from arcing. It may destroy faulty element of the system. There is also a possibility of fire spreading to the other parts of the system if the fault is not isolated quickly. There may be reduction of supply voltage of the healthy feeders, resulting the loss of industrial loads. Short circuit may cause the unbalance of supply voltages and current, thereby hitting rotating machines. Heavy short circuit current may cause damage to equipment or other element to the system due to overheating and high mechanical forces set up due to heavy current. There may be a loss of system stability. Individual generators in a power station may lose its synchronism, resulting in complete shutdown of the system. Loss of stability of interconnected systems may also result. Subsystems may maintain supply for the individual zones, but load shedding would have to be restored in the substation which was receiving power from the other substation before occurrence of the fault. Short circuit causes electrical fires in such buildings or shopping complexes. Loss of equipment with the heavy current or due to short circuit. It disturbs the interconnected active circuits and not only affect the location at which they occur but also disturb the active interconnected circuits of faulted lines. So students, these are our electrical fault causes and its effect. Now we can understand the types of fault. So there are two broad classification of types of fault. One is a symmetrical fault and second one is unsymmetrical fault. A three-phase fault is called a symmetrical fault. In a three-phase fault, this three-phase involved, all three phases are short-circuited, and there may be two situations. All three phases may be short-circuited to the ground, or they may be short-circuited without involving the ground. A three-phase short circuit generally treated as a standard fault to determine the system fault level. It is most severe type of fault involving largest current, but it occurs rarely. For this reason, balanced short circuit calculation is performed to determine this large current. So students, in this figure here it is a symmetrical fault which is balanced in 120 phase angle. It is displaced by equal angle. Now unsymmetrical faults. Single phase to ground, two phase to ground, phase to phase short circuit, single phase open circuit, two phase open circuit, these all are unsymmetrical faults. When it occurs, three phase lines become unbalanced. Such type of faults occur between these interconnected lines. Now occurrence of fault in a percentage, it is given in this presentation. Single line to ground is a very normal way of faults. It is 85% from in power system. Then line to line fault occurrence percentage is 8%. Double line to ground fault occurrence rate is 5%, and three phase to ground fault is 2%. So this occurrence of frequency of occurrence faults are given here. So as you see, the symmetrical fault three phase to ground is rare fault, it is only a 2%, and single line to ground fault is most common fault, that is unsymmetrical fault, which is 85%. Now after the faults we see the protection zone. A power system contains generator, transformer, bus bar, transmission and distribution lines. There is a separate protective schemes for each piece of equipment or element of the power system, such as generator protection, transformer protection, transmission line protection, bus bar protection, etc. Thus, a power system is divided into number of zones for protection. A protective zone covers one or at the most two elements of the power system, as you can see in the figure. The protective zones are planned in such a way that the entire power system is collectively covered by them, and thus no part of the system is left unprotected. As you see, the some part of the line is overlap, so which means no part left unprotected. The various protective zones of a typical power system are given in the figure, like generator zone, transformer zone, bus zone, transmission line zone. As you see in the figure, the overlapping means overlapping between the adjacent zones is unavoidable. If a fault occurs in the overlapping zone, in a properly protected scheme, more circuit breakers than the minimum necessary to isolate the faulty element of the system would trip. A relatively low extent of overlap reduces the probability of faults in this region, and consequently tripping of too many breakers does not occur frequently. Now there are two types of protection, primary and backup. We have studied about various zones for protection. There is a suitable protective scheme for each zone. If fault occurs in a particular zone, it is the duty of primary relays of the zone to isolate the faulty element. The primary relay is the first line defense. If due to any reason the primary relay fails to operate, there is a backup protective scheme to clear the fault, which is called second line defense. The primary protection may fail due to following reasons: failure of DC supply to the tripping circuit, failure in relay operating current or voltage, failure in circuit breaker tripping mechanism, then main protective relay operation fail, then maybe fail in wiring, and or failure of CTPT. So these are the reasons to fail the main protective schemes. The reliability of protective scheme should be at least 95% with proper design, installation and maintenance of the relays. The backup relays are made up independent of those factors which might cause primary relays to fail. The backup protection provides the backup of main protection whenever it fails. The failure of primary protection occurs because of failure of reasons that we have already discussed. Now, after understanding the primary and backup protection, there are mainly four type of backup protections: relay backup, breaker backup, remote backup and centrally coordinated backup. This is a relay backup when single relay consists of primary and backup. This second figure shows breaker. It image shows the breaker image where primary and backup are on same station. Then remote backup where primary and backup are in different station, and centrally coordinated backup protection scheme where the primary is at various stations and backup is at control room with computers. This type of breakers are used in a power system where main protection will get fail. Now I have an example of backup protection. Consider the remote backup protection is provided by small time graded relay as shown in figure. Let F be the fault occur on relay R4. The relay R4 operates the circuit breaker at D and isolate the faulty part. Now if the circuit breaker D operates to fail, the faulty section would be isolated by R3 and it will be a backup protection of R4. And now if main protection, that is R4, will get fail, the isolate from C and R3 will be operate. So this how primary and backup protection will in action. Now desirable qualities of relaying system. A protective relaying scheme should have certain important qualities such as reliability, speed and time, sensitivity, selectivity and discrimination, stability, simplicity, economy and adequateness. So these 8 qualities must have protective relays for better protection of the power system network. We can understand one by one with particular discussion. What is reliability? Reliability means a protective system must operate reliably when a fault occurs in its zone of protection. A failure of protective system may be due to the failure of any one or more elements of the protective system. Its important elements are the protective relay, circuit breaker, voltage transformer, current transformer, wiring, battery, etc. To achieve a high degree of reliability, greater attention should be given to the design, installation, maintenance, and testing of various elements of the protective system. Robustness and simplicity of the relaying equipment also contribute to reliability. The contact pressure, the contact material of the relay, and the prevention of contact contamination are also very important from the reliability point of view. A typical value of reliability of protective system is 95%. Students, there should be a reliability of 95%. There are many components which is there are many components to operate before the operation of the relay, and the operation of the relaying scheme is also depending on the component which plays a role in the operation of the relay. Now, after reliability, what we can understand some terms of speed and discrimination. So before we discuss speed and discrimination, we have to learn about what is fault clearing time and what is breaker operating time. So in this figure, step 1 is fault initiation. After the fault initiation, breaker will operate. Then primary contact will separate and then arc will extinguish. In these steps, fault initiation and breaker actuation is relay operating time. So between these two steps, there will be a relay operating time in action. After the relay operation, it will signal the trip coil and CB will trip the contacts or separate the contacts and arc will extinguish. So this time will calculate as a CB interrupting time. When this breaker is in actual operation and primary contact will separate, in these two actions, the time between these two is called mechanical time or opening time of the breaker. When this contact will be separate and final arc extinguishing time is called arcing time. So from the initiation of fault and in the end of final arc extinction, this total time is called as a fault clearing time. So we can measure the fault clearing time. Now we discuss speed and time. The protective schemes must disconnect the faulty part of the system as soon as possible. If the fault persists a long time, subsequently other faults may get generated and results its completely blackout. So we need high speed protection relays. The relay time is the time taken from instant of fault and the instant of the closure of the contact of the relay. So the circuit breaker time is time taken by the circuit breaker to operate and open the contacts and extinguish the arc. So the total time required between instant of fault and arc interruption and extinguished is the total fault clearing time. So desirable quality of protective relaying is high speed operation of relays. Now, what is sensitivity? A protection relay should operate when the magnitude of the current exceeds the preset value. This value is called pickup current. The relay should not operate when the current is below its pickup value. A relay should be sufficiently sensitive to operate when the operating current just exceeds its pickup value. The input of the relay coil is measured in VA, volt ampere. Smaller the value of volt ampere input, the relay is more sensitive. Generally, there are two configurations, 1 VA and 5 VA. Out of these two, 1 VA relay is more sensitive than 5 VA. Now, selectivity and discrimination. Selectivity is the equality of protective relay by which it is able to discriminate between fault in the protected section and the normal conditions. Also, it should be able to distinguish whether a fault lies within its zone of protection or outside of the zone. So, they have to discriminate inside and outside. Sometimes this quality of the relay is also called discrimination. When fault occurs on a power system, only the faulty part of the system should be isolated. No healthy part of the system should be spoiled or damaged of electrical supply and hence should be left intact. The relay should also be able to discriminate between fault and transient conditions like power surges or inrush of the transformer's magnetizing current. The magnetizing current of large transformer is comparable to a fault current which may be 5 to 7 times. Students, it is 5 to 7 times of the full load current. When generators of two interconnected power plants lose their synchronism because of disturbances, heavy current flow through the equipment and lines. This condition is like a short circuit. The flow of heavy current is known as a power surges. The protective relay should be able to distinguish between fault or power surge either by its inherent characteristic or with the help of an auxiliary relay. So this is a selectivity and discrimination. Now, stability. A protective system should remain stable. A protective system should remain stable even when large current is flowing through its protective zone due to external fault. The concerned circuit breaker is supposed to clear the fault, but the protective system will not wait indefinitely if the protective scheme of the zone in which the fault has occurred fails to operate. After a preset delay, the relay will operate to trip the circuit breaker. To achieve stable operation of the system, time delay, a filter circuit, mechanical and electrical bias are provided. Now, simplicity. What is a simplicity? To maintain and install easy the protective schemes, it will be a simple in operation. The simpler system will more reliable. Therefore, the protective schemes must be simple. The complex systems are difficult while maintenance and installation. Now, economy. The important quality of any system is the cost. The cost of the system is as low as possible. Sometimes, to make the system more secure, the cost of protective schemes is more than the cost of system which we want to secure. Means the protective scheme is more costly than the equipment. So, to avoid this situation, the cost of protective schemes is not more than 5% of the total cost of equipment. But if the equipment to be protected is very important, the economic constraint can be relaxed. So I hope you can understand very easily the desirable qualities of the protective relaying and main and backup protective schemes. In next lecture, we will discuss about different terminologies of protective schemes and protective relaying schemes and basic tripping circuit. Okay, so till now you can study the referred books like Oza Nair, Bhide or B Ram. Okay, so thank you so much for attend this lecture. We will meet in next lecture. Thank you.